over the weekend, I watched the DCCU's latest film, Blue Beetle, which was a box office flop, and it's now on Max, if anybody cares to see it. And I gotta tell you, I understand why it was a flop. So, let's get into it. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
Dario again, then. I just want to be Dario again, dun dun. Life I love is making podcasts with my friends. Oh, I can't wait to get Dario again. Alright, so as I was saying, Blue Beetle, I wasn't a fan. I wasn't particularly looking forward to seeing it. I wanted to see it because I met the kid who is the main character, Xolo Maridueña. He plays Blue Beetle. And I liked him. He seemed like a good kid. I was like, I want to support his career. But then I heard bad things and I was like, I don't want to watch. I don't care about watching it as much. However, a listener, shout out to Chuck, he was like, oh, you got to see it. Got to do a review. It was actually not that bad. So I watched it. And Chuck, you son of a bitch, you lied to me. How dare you? I trusted you. You betrayed me. Now, to be fair, the movie is not the worst DC movie I've ever seen. It's watchable. My big issue with it is that it's, as always, it's a little kid's movie. Now, I get it. It's Blue Beetle, it's DC, they're trying to expand their audience or whatever. I understand. But this movie is still kind of part of the Snyderverse. And so I expected it to be, let's just say, a bit more, not mature, but less ridiculous. And the movie's just extremely ridiculous. I hated it. There's a lot of things that I still don't understand why they did it that way. And so if this was the first movie of the freaking James Gunn DCCU, it's a total failure, in my humble opinion. Like, I'm not looking forward to being a part of that particular universe at all. I don't care. I'm not interested in it. I hated it. So, first off, let's go with the good. And I will probably get into some spoilers here. Sorry, but I'll try to keep them at the end. So, performances, okay. The issue is not the performances. I think Xolo did a good job. He was likable enough. George Lopez is in it. He's fun. He's a funny guy. Like, the performances are fine. They're fine. The issue is the characters and the story as a whole. So the story kind of takes a lot from Ant-Man in a way. It's basically I don't particularly care about Blue Beetle because to me he always seemed, this particular Blue Beetle, because there was one before, but it always just seemed like it was Green Lantern, but with alien. Well, Green Lantern is also alien tech, but with a scarab. Instead of being a Green Lantern and a ring, it's a blue scarab. So it always just seemed stupid to me, and I didn't particularly care for him. I was like, well, I already have Green Lantern. Like, I already have the Green Lantern. There's multiple Green Lanterns that I like. Why should I care about this kid? And so I didn't particularly care for him. And so never actually dug in too deep to his story because I wanted to come in fresh, free of prejudice, free of, they could have done this from the comics or whatever. But it's pretty much the story of the Ant-Man movie. So, the Ant-Man movie adding the alien tech. So if Ant-Man and Green Lantern had a baby, let's just say it that way. So, billionaire, eccentric dude, plays it being superhero, kind of like, how Hank Pym does, Michael something. I don't know, the dude who's married to Catherine Zeta-Jones. I forget his name. Anyway, kind of like that guy. He uses his tech to do superhero-y things, and then he kind of just disappears. Now, in Ant-Man, it's actually the wife that disappears, but, same thing. So he disappears, and then the daughter helps the new person kind of take over. Now, the story is different in the sense that it's not a shrinking suit. It's the billionaire eccentric dude has a scarab that's alien tech, and the alien tech chooses the kid. So whereas in Ant-Man, he built the suit and he chose Scott for it. So it's a little bit different, but very similar in that sense. Again, it's mainly the daughter that's the connection here. Like, oh, you're following the daughter of the executive billionaire who played at being a superhero or whatever, or did spy stuff with it, and so that's kind of it. And so I wasn't particularly impressed with that thing, but all right, fine. It's a basic bitch superhero story, right? Very simple, very straightforward, but too ridiculous. And I'll explain. The biggest issue, storytelling-wise, the biggest issue where I'm like, dude, this is just too little kid. This is just too ridiculous, and I hate it watching it. I hate this particular universe because if these are the rules that they're following for this universe, it's complete and total bullshit, and I hate it. So, for example, all right, let's just go into it. Every character is exactly what you need them to be whenever you need them, or there's a character that becomes exactly what you need them to be at any particular point. So, for example, the uncle, played by George Lopez, is pretended to just be kind of like a goofy uncle who cares a lot about his truck. They present him there like that the entire time. There's nothing that makes you think of like this dude being anything more than the goofy uncle, right? Then all of a sudden, the uncle is a tech super genius who can hack into extremely expensive systems, security systems. And so now they did present the uncle as being kind of like a paranoid dude who doesn't trust the government, but they never presented him as a hacker, as an engineer expert, as a super genius. And so that comes out of nowhere. We're like, all right, I guess, sometimes, judging a book by its cover or whatever. Then the grandma, like who has always been presented as just this sweet kind of oblivious grandma, turns out to be this revolutionary. Now, if I paid attention to the story, the grandma was from Sonora, and I don't remember any revolutions happening in Sonora in the last, 80 years. Now, there was one in the 1910, the Mexican Revolution, but I'm pretty sure she wasn't alive for it. And so, if I have to guess, the grandma was from the 30s, maybe? So, her being kind of like a revolutionary is ridiculous. Like, they say, like, we need to talk about your grandma's revolutionary past someday. I'm like, what revolution? Like, I know the history of Mexico pretty well. Like, unless she was part of the EZLN, the Ejército Zapatista, whatever, Nacional, I don't care, it doesn't matter. But still, I don't think she'd be in America. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, the whole point of those dudes is protecting their land. It's ridiculous. So, it's every character being exactly what they need him to be whenever even the sister, when the moment they need her to be something, she all of a sudden becomes a graffiti artist. The issue is that they never actually present the characters as that at any point in time before. And I was paying attention to the movie. So they never show hints of the sister being artistically driven. They never show hints of the uncle being kind of like a super genius. They never show hints of the grandma actually being kind of murderous. So, on top of that, the Blue Beetle is kind of a dumbass. And it's really annoying. So, but I mean, kind of a dumbass is that he's like, no, I'm not going to kill people, blah, blah, blah. It's wrong. And then literally, I think everybody in his family kills people. Like the grandma for sure killed some people. The uncle for sure, while driving a tank, killed some people. I'm even kind of sure that the sister killed a few people while blowing stuff up. So literally everybody kills except this guy because I don't know, it's wrong or whatever. It's really annoying. Like we need some consistency here. And then, to make things worse, the family is just too much part of this story. And I mean way too much. They're too involved. In fact, it's the heroes of the movie are actually the family. It's not actually Blue Beetle. Like, this is a movie about rescuing Blue Beetle. He's the damsel in distress. So it's like, I'm rooting for that guy? That loser? That one right there? The guy who needs his grandma to go save him? That's your superhero? I don't understand what they were doing. But, listen, if they were trying to make a crappy movie, they succeeded at it. If they were trying to start a new franchise, well, they were terrible at it. They really, really messed that one up. So, overall, is it funny sometimes? Sure, it has its moments, but it's not for me. Again, it's not. I'm looking at this universe, and for a superhero, and I'm like, dude, do I want to watch a universe where a hero gets rescued by his grandma? Not really. I'm not 4. All right, I'm not 4 years old. Do I want to watch a movie where the superhero is kind of like just a ginormous dumbass who keeps complaining about having superpowers? Not really. That's kind of annoying. I get it. It's the hero's journey, but still, it's really silly. Do I want to watch a universe where a character becomes exactly what you need him to be at the moment you need them? No. It's really annoying. It's really stupid. Anybody could be anything, and it's just not, it's not my cup of tea. So I didn't enjoy watching it overall. It's not the worst thing I've seen. I've seen worse things in the DCCU. Like, I wasn't openly offended by things, but, you know, there's also a bunch of, like, oh, feel bad about illegal immigrants and stuff because they're losing their house and stuff. Listen, I don't have a lot of pity for people. I tend to not have pity for people because I'm like, if you put yourself in a particular situation, like for kids, I understand. But for adults, it's like, dude, you want me to feel bad for being in a position where you put yourself in? Listen, I've always thought that pity is kind of like what people who tend to feel superior to other people, like it's a way to look down on people. So I'm like, I try not to have pity. But I'm like, dude, you're a grown up and you made a decision and you knew this was going to happen and now it's happening and now you're complaining. Kind of it's on you. So I have really no care or sympathy for the main characters. The main character, while likable, is very annoying. The family needs to get the fuck out of the movie. The majority of it. They needed to rewrite the whole freaking thing. And Susan Sarandon, the villain, is a cartoon villain. Like, she was just like evil, openly evil. And for some reason, they did something very weird. Like, Susan Sarandon is the epicenter. She's the black hole of evil, right? She's, again, cartoony. Kill them. We're going to, like, it's a cartoon villain. And then all the other dudes around her do her bidding, but they're like, oh, but I feel bad about it. Or they wanted you to not hate them. It's really weird. And for some reason, they're all Latinos. So it's kind of one of those things like, why couldn't you just, you know, have it be a random whatever person? Why did it have to, is it like a Latino fraternity thing? It was very weird. It really annoyed me. Like there's this scientist dude who does exactly what Susan Sarandon says that would probably lead to the death of the main character, and he does it, but he feels bad about it. And so afterwards, when, you know, the hero ends up surviving, he's like, no, I'll help you a little bit. And then there's, you know, the main villain, Carolax or whatever, I forget his name. I just remember that his last name is definitely not a Latino last name. He's like, oh, I kind of don't like this lady because she's evil, but I'll do exactly what she says the entire fucking time. But every once in a while, I'll just look to the side in anger. It's like, what are you doing? Make your villains evil. You know, the audience should hate like, if you're going for a kid's simplicity, make it simple. Like, oh, that dude's bad. He does bad things. We hate him. Not one of those, oh, that dude's bad. He does bad things, but he feels bad about it. He already did it. He already did all this stuff. I don't know. It's really annoying. Overall, I'm not going to say I hated it. I'm just going to be like, you know, it wasn't for me. Because, again, I'm not 4 years old. So, there you go. As always, like this video, share this video, subscribe to this channel, comments, questions, or suggestions. You can find me at DarioCW and at Super Dario World. Conclusion, this is a horrible start for James Gunn's DCCU. I don't see it getting particularly better unless they get the family off of that franchise, which I don't think they're going to continue because the movie tanked. So the Flash tanked. By the way, this is really funny. They were selling this movie like the first Latino superhero, but they also made the Flash Latino in the previous movie, so, or half Latino. So, it's just stupid. It's all stupid. But the Flash tanked. This one tanked. I'm pretty sure Aquaman's gonna tank. So I don't think the James Gunn DCCU will be long for this world. Hopefully they bring Zack Snyder back because he was at least doing interesting things, movies for adults. If you watch the extended versions, I'll die on that hill. I'll defend his superhero movies, especially the extended versions. They're actually pretty good. But there you go. That's my take. As always, thanks for listening, and I'll see you again next time.